Hello YouTube and welcome to RV Daydream, and it's cold. I think winter's returned.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream. It is 44 degrees right now, and the wind chill's about 36. You can see there's a little bit of wind blowing, and it's cold, rainy. It's going to be this way all day today. I was doing a video for my truck about some work that I did on it, and I thought that it'd be a good time to give you some sort of an update, which isn't a lot, but still, we'll maybe tie this in with another video. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it all works out.
Because quite honestly, it's not like all this stuff is planned. A lot of this stuff is not planned. Some of my other videos have to be planned as far as my other channel. That's what I was doing here. I don't know if you noticed, but there's some alternators here, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. As far as what I've been doing, I've been working on the truck, and that's kind of tied in with the video that I was just shooting for the other channel. I went ahead and converted this over to a 130 amp alternator on the truck. It comes factory with the 95. The problem is they did have 130 amp that was available on the truck, but the mount spacing is just incredibly wrong. It's much bigger. It's you know, like 3/4 of an inch bigger. Now I could have modified the bracket on the truck to make sure that, you know, I always had a place that I could go and buy an alternator and just replace it, but there's other ways to get around it. I'll put a link to my other video that I do if you want to go look at what I just talked about. But yeah, so I've got a 130 amp alternator on the truck now. It took me a couple days to figure all that out. So I'll be able to run a battery isolator and charge a couple batteries at a time, or I could run, you know, a charging system to the RV that whenever I'm driving down the road, once this battery's fully charged inside the truck, it'll start charging the battery on the RV. It's not hard to do, and if I do decide to do that, I'll go ahead and of course include a video for it. The brake pads for the front of the truck I still haven't done. They're still sitting here in a bag. That whole alternator debacle caused a little bit of time to be spent there. Heidi had a day off, which we traveled around and we looked at some trucks just for fun. Funny thing is I did my last video and I told you guys that I had to do some mowing. I was saying, oh, I gotta go mow again. And the old lawn and garden tractor that is from 1975, one of the gearboxes finally failed. It stripped out or broke a bearing in the right-hand gearbox for the mowing deck on this thing. Well, I'm not going to replace that. The gearbox rebuild kit's like $120, and I'll be honest, I hate mowing with this little mower because the engine is old, and although it doesn't burn much for oil, it does burn some oil, and the carbon smell from the engine, even though the carburetor's been rebuilt a couple times, it makes me smell. It makes me smell like exhaust whenever I'm done mowing. Now I could route the exhaust differently. I could do all kinds of stuff to cure that, but you know, at some point you're just wasting your time, you know, putting lipstick on a pig. The tractor is going to be our plow tractor, and it'll be our plow tractor until it blows up. But as far as the mowing tractor, it did an okay job. It would cut the grass, but there was a lot of times I had to cross mow. That is when you have to take and mow the yard twice, basically. You mow it in one direction and then you mow it in a different direction. And that's because the thing cut unevenly. And it wasn't the fault of the blades being dull or anything like that. It's just that, you know, this was an older mower. They were never, you know, manicured type lawn mowers in the first place. And it would mow relatively fast if I went a faster speed, but the blade speed was never fast enough to be able to mow faster than second gear. Now, I don't want to be racing around the yard, you know, getting the lawn mowed extremely fast and dangerous, but I will have to say I've had mowers in the past, because I did so many mower repairs over the years, that some of them would really fly and had unbelievable blade speed that it would cut just fine, and I never had an issue. So we're going to be looking at another mower, but it's so sad that I have to buy another mower so I can mow the lawn on a house that we're eventually going to be getting rid of. I was hoping that this thing would last as long as possible, That's why I bought those blades that were the wrong size just to get us by. So what I'm going to do is, trying to save money, I'm going to go to auction, equipment auction, which is the second Tuesday of the month, which is coming up next Tuesday. And I think Heidi's going to try to get the day off, and we're going to go out to Rogers, which when we went to Lock 30, we did camping trip there. I did a video of us going to Rogers, the flea market, on 4th of July. I'll put a link up above here somewhere. You can click on that and take a look at what that day entailed. It was a lot of fun, but they have an equipment auction that I used to go down, and that was part of my business. I would go down with my truck and the trailer I used to have at the time and spend about $1,000 on used power equipment, you know, 2 or 3 riding mowers, rototillers, mini bikes, anything, chainsaws, go-karts. I bought all kinds of stuff down there, push mowers, and then I bring them home, I recondition them, fix them all up, refurbish them, and then put them out here for sale. That was what I did. That's how I started my business, and then I started doing repairs for customers because a lot of people didn't want to buy new. They were really attached to their old stuff, and they were like, well, you know, I'd like to buy one, but I really like this old one. And so anyways, I kind of fell into that trap and started doing service work, which is fine. So I'm going to go do that, and we'll, you know, maybe we can drag you along for that process. I don't know, though. That's maybe I'll just show you what I end up picking up, if I pick up anything. Who knows? It's kind of hard to say. So what do I have to do, and what are we planning on doing? Well, I've got to work on my son's van a little bit for him. He's really wanting to get into the van dweller thing, and I went ahead and took it out the other day and took it for a drive. I used it to go to the hardware store down the street to buy a hose. We installed a bidet, a real inexpensive one, on our household toilet just to see what that was like, because I was thinking about trying to do one for an RV because it would save on paper, and it does save on paper. I'm surprised, but you also use a little bit more water. But the water that you use could be used for flushing anyways. I'm trying to figure out if it's going to work or not in the RV. But as far as the house, it works great. It's it does save on toilet paper, which we were hoping to do. So I was running the van. Totally off topic there. I was running the van to go to the hardware store. Then I ran up to Heidi's parts store to pick up the bigger alternator that I needed for the truck. And the van does okay. Nothing spectacular, but he needs front end alignment. I need to look at his gearbox to see if it needs tightened up or replaced. His brakes are very good on the van. He probably needs all new tires. Again, an alignment's involved there too. There's a couple other, he needs new wiper blades. I mean, just odds and ends of little things. Maybe a tune-up. I need to look at his idle air control valve to see if it was set up correctly. The guy replaced it, but I think he screwed it up. There's a valve underneath the doghouse that I have to replace. It's not very difficult. But other than that, the van's in pretty good shape overall. And he was really wanting to invest some more money in it. He was telling me, well, I've got about $700 I can spend on it. What do I need to buy first? And, you know, we talked about porta potties. We looked at the refrigerators that go inside, the refrigerator freezers from Winter or Dometic. I told him that he's looking at about $400 to $600 for a really good one that will run on, you know, AC voltage or DC voltage. Apparently the Dometics use a little bit less on amperage. I think they only use about 2.4 amps. Versus the Winters are closer to 4 amps. I told him that's a big concern. We have to do some rewiring inside of the truck because he has 2 batteries, and one's just for accessories only, but the wiring going to the back, the guy screwed up at some point, so I got to figure out why, because he has a fuse box in the back and there's no power going to it. Then we'll figure out, as far as the propane that he has on board, how we're going to incorporate that. But in the meantime, we've got talking about his car, and, you know, instead of me driving my truck to death, I've talked about this in the past, I needed to pick up something. So what I did is I bought his little Buick Century just so I have a car that I can drive around. Now, in the meantime, he's going to continue to drive it back and forth to work until we get this van close to where he wants it to be. So I told him, I said, you know, he was worried about titles and tags and everything. I said, don't worry about any of that. You know, just continue to pay the insurance on it, continue to put gas in it, and continue to drive it just like you normally would. I said at some point, when we get the van in good running condition to where I know you can drive it every day, I said at that point I'll take over your car from you and you'll have the van. So that's what's going on that front. Heidi did some shopping. That's what we did on our day off. Heidi and I did some shopping. We went to a local mall, and we actually picked up some new walking shoes. Go figure that out. We actually went and bought some new tennis shoes. I haven't bought tennis shoes for years. I mean, a really long time. And yeah, I got some that I tried on a whole bunch of pair, and I finally found a pair that fit and were comfortable. And a good tip, if you're buying shoes, somebody told me this a long time ago, or actually told Heidi this, and that is, if they don't feel good in the store when you first put them on, don't buy them, because it's not like they're going to all of a sudden feel good. You need to put on a pair of shoes in the store, and as soon as you put your feet in them, you go, oh wow, these feel really great. And as you walk around with them in the store, you continue to feel that way. Because whatever the irritation may be that you may feel will continue and be a problem. Now, some shoes will break in a little bit better than others, but you might as well start with something that feels comfortable right off the bat. But somebody mentioned, yes, the garage is definitely not organized, and nor will it be anytime soon, because every time I spend any time in here fixing up the garage, it gets messy again. So on that, I'm not cleaning it up. I'll straighten it up a little bit because I have a lot of tools laying around. But yeah, it's very, very disorganized. It's horrible. But the tractor's in here. Heidi hasn't parked her car in here for the last few days, and I've got to get the alternators that I bought returned, and then at that point, the truck, the only thing I have to do is actually a lot of things. I got an appointment for some window tint. That's not going to happen till later. I've been wanting to do that since I got the truck. I really have a problem driving with bright light coming in and reflection off of the back window. Hopefully if I tint the windows that are letting light in to cause the reflection inside, that'll help out. I know it did on my old truck. We'll have to see on this one because the windows are a little bit different in the back. The other thing I have to do with this truck, do the front brakes, rotate the tires, and then possibly take it down for an alignment. I know that I always have alignment issues because I'm very particular, but this thing's been slowly pulling to the left quite a bit. The other thing that I have to do, which they haven't shipped it yet, I'm not sure exactly why, but I found exhaust headers that I've been wanting. Actually, there's two pairs of exhaust headers that I've wanted for this truck. What I put on the truck is just something to make it not leak. The manifolds that I had, they leaked, and I didn't want to bother with them. Plus, I wanted to eliminate some of my emissions control stuff because I don't need it for this area or on this truck for that purpose mainly. So I bought some headers, and when I say they were inexpensive headers, I did buy some inexpensive headers. They were still like $400. I put them on the truck. They've been doing fine, but I can't reach some of the bolts that always seem to come loose on this thing. I'm always underneath about once every 3 months tightening up a couple of bolts that are underneath on the collectors. And I've had a lot of headers over the years on a lot of different vehicles, but for whatever reason, these things like to come loose. They just like to come loose. I think the metal likes to flex a lot on these things. So what I'm going to do is I've been wanting the correct headers, and the ones that I would love to get is a Banks header. They're stainless steel. They're really nice, but they're also $1,111 for the headers. I can't come off that kind of money. I mean, I've bought cars for half that price, you know, that I've driven for a couple of years. So there's just no way that I can spend that kind of money on something that this truck already has, basically. Although those headers are top of the line and the best ones you can get. So if you have a motorhome with a 460 or a van with a 460 or a truck with a 460 and you have manifolds on your truck and they're leaking and you want to increase performance, you got the money, go ahead and spend that money on those headers. It's the Banks torque tubes, and you'll be set for life. They're stainless steel, they're great headers, there's nothing wrong with them except for the price. Now, there's a step below those from Doug Thorley. The headers aren't quite as nice. They're ceramic coated inside and out, so they help quite a bit with underhood temperatures and corrosion and stuff like that. They are a torque tube design or tri-Y design, so they do help with torque. They're long tube headers. They come with a Y pipe, and they run about $799. Now, still, that's a lot of money, and I don't want to spend $799 on headers. However, there's somebody on eBay that has 3 sets of headers that will work on this truck. Not exact for this application, but close enough. And he only wants $360 for them. I ordered them right away. The problem is this guy seems a little flaky, and sometimes he has them, sometimes he don't. I don't know what the story is, but I ordered them, and now it's in his court to get them shipped. We'll see what happens there, but I'll be installing long tube headers on this truck one way or the other. Hopefully one way, the cheap way. And then at that point, I'm going to work from the headers back to increasing the exhaust from something other than factory, because I have the stock muffler on there, which is got a little bit of a leak, and it's restrictive. The way they bend the pipe's restrictive. So once I get all that opened up, the truck will perform even better than it already does, and it will sound better than it does. Then it's an oil change, which I have that in the back here, and it's going to be nice. I mean, I'll get the truck to where it's tip-top and performing exactly like I expect it to for us to do a trip. So we'll definitely be doing a trip. You know that. We're just trying to figure out where we're going to go and how far we want to go. So that's it for now, and it's so cold. I don't want to be out here anymore. So we'll go ahead and see how I've edited this down and cut it down, and we'll either make it its own video or we'll tack it on to another day. So if it's its own video, let me go ahead and close out. And as always, I hope to see you guys out there. Bye.